Hey everybody, Sean Holsinger here from holsingersflyshop.com, bringing you another tie-in video today. And steelhead season is going to be upon us here before you know it. I'm trying to get the boxes ready at the shop, and this is one that I've been putting in the box here lately. I just filled the box up with this pattern, and now I'm on to my steelhead candy, the next thing I'm going to be tying here in the shop, trying to fill the boxes with. But this is more or less a version of the steelhead candy, a little twist on it. I call it stone and eggs. And it's a pattern I've been fishing on the Great Lakes tribs, you know, for steelhead. I've caught salmon on it before too. It's just one that I like to use when we go chasing the brown trout and stuff. So it works. It's a great steelhead pattern. Hey, cut the egg off and use it as a stone fly if you get in a jam or something, you know. You have them in your box and you're out trout fishing. This is a great point fly, great anchor fly for you. I love using these stone flies. If you know me, I like to tie a lot of stone flies, and this one's just a fun one for me to tie, and I actually can tie it pretty quickly. So I'm going to get out of the talking here and let you get into watching the video on how I tie it. So sit back. Here's a look at the fly, the material list to tie it, and hope you like it. Okay guys, here you see a golden stone and egg in the vise. Really cool pattern, and let's get into tying it. I'm going to tie this one in a brown, but the first thing we need to do is put the egg on. For the egg, this is Montana Roe as the color of this trout bead, and I'm going to use this brown chameleon colored Maxima thread to show you how I tie the knot. But I'm going to make a loop, put the loop through the egg like that. And then I'm going to fold it over and I'm going to tie a knot in it. So what I'm actually doing is tying a polymer knot on this egg. And I know you can't see this part, but you'll get it here in a second. Okay, so you see I just tied a knot above the egg. Just ran the loop through itself one time. Now to make the polymer knot, we're going to take the egg, we're going to push it through the opening here at the end, this big loop. And I'm going to pull that egg out. Okay? Now I'm going to hold on to the egg and pull the fishing line down, and that's going to create my polymer knot right there. So I'm going to pull it real tight. Then I'm going to take and come in. This is 8-pound test, by the way. I use 6 or 8-pound test. And when I use that size, I only use one thread to tie it down here. So I'm going to cut one of them off, as you see, and then I'm going to take and put my fishing line back through the hole in the egg. And I'm going to pull it through, and what that's going to do is it's going to hide that knot just a little bit better on the end. So now I like to do it with clear. So you can see here I did this one with clear. I just did the brown one for the video quality. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put our hook in the vise. Now to speed things up here a little bit, I already put the bead on. The bead is a 3.5 millimeter silver. The lead is about 20 wraps of 0.020, and then I'm going to put some fluorescent orange or fire orange, whatever color you like. I'm just going to make a little hot spot back here at the back. So I'm going to wrap this on here, cover up my lead, and wrap it in place. And then I'm going to take my finger, and I'm just going to hold my finger back there, and I'm going to make a nice little dam of thread right here at the back. That's going to splay my tail out here in a second. So there we go, just make a nice little ball there. It's going to make your hot spot, and it's going to splay your thread out. Now, I'm going to switch thread. I could make a lighter colored brown one if I left this orange underneath it, but I'm going to switch to a brown colored thread. So we're going to cut that off. I'm going to protect my little dam of thread back here with a little bit of bone dry, and it'll make it a little bit bigger to splay that tail out. So just hit her with a little bone dry there. Then we're going to come in with our rusty brown thread. I'm going to cover up this orange. And now we're going to put our tail on. For the tail, I'm using Golden Stone golden stone strip goose biots, and I'm just going to put one on each side. And you can make them a little long if you want. I don't like to make them too long. I like to put the bead right inside them, so I kind of like them to go back there. Oh, not really the length of the hook, which I'm not sure if I mentioned is a size 12, 7, 18. But I like to wrap them and then wrap them back. You see there, I'm wrapping them back to that egg, that little ball I made there. And as I do, it splays them apart. And then I'm going to put my egg that I tied in the middle. So I'm going to set that in the middle there, and there you can see about where that egg lays is right about the end of the points of my tail. So that's where I want this and where I want it to all end up at. So we're just going to wrap this on top. The 6-pound test here that I tied my egg to. And then I'm going to double it back over. And by doing all this, you see I'm covering up all that orange thread so it doesn't show through my vinyl rib here in a second. Okay, once I get that tied in and secured, then I'm just going to continue to wrap this monofilament back there to my tail and smooth the body out. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to use some brown vinyl rib. And the vinyl rib is D-rib. It's flat on one side and humped on the other. So I'm going to tie it flat side up. So when I wrap it over, it's going to lay flat side down against the hook. So we're going to flat side up. We're going to put it on top and cover it up back to the bend of the hook again. Or back to the tail, I should say. Alright, and then back up to the eye. Now, if you have a rotary vices come in real handy right now. Since I do, I'm going to use it. And if you're using the rotary vise, tie a little knot there behind the bead just to hold that in place so it doesn't fling around. Now, we're just going to take, and if you don't have the rotary vise, just do this by hand. And we're just going to rib this body with the vinyl rib. I'm going to stop about one bead length, one good solid bead length behind the bead there. And I'm going to tie it off. I'm going to make a wrap or two and a wrap or two over it and a wrap or two around the hook just to tie it into place. This is a simple one and it catches fish. I've been fishing this one on steelhead and done well with it too. So now next thing I'm going to do is use a little bit of chocolate brown Prism. You can use natural W you want, whatever you like to use. Just use this as a base for your pattern. Okay, we're gonna get a nice, not a lot. We don't want this to get too big yet because I got to put my wings on it. So I just want to cover this up and get it back here to where I want it on the hook, which is about 1/3 of the way. And we're gonna create the thorax on this fly. Now for the wings, I go simple on the wings, and I just make one pair of Goose Biot wings, and I just cross them over top of each other, lay them up on top, and tie them down. Now, I haven't been putting a hot spot up front. If you want to put a hot spot up front, I'll do it in this video. This is where I would do it. I would switch out my thread to make the hot spot. So I'm going to tie that off there. I'm going to come back in with my orange thread. Put the orange thread on here. And I'm going to add a little bit more dubbing. Just to lay those biots down. And smooth everything out a little better. Don't need a lot of dubbing here. Like I said, I'm just covering up that collar that I have built on there right now. And get my biots to make sure they lay down. Tighten that a little bit. Bring it right up there to the bead. And then make a nice little collar. Not big, just a little one. And I like to use my whip finish as my collar. So there I got a hot spot at the front and the back now. Give the steelhead a little something extra to key in on. And there you go. That's all that's to it. It doesn't take long to tie, and it's a great looking pattern. Alright guys, I hope you liked that video. It's an easy one for me to tie. I like tying them, and I've caught a lot of fish on them too. I've caught a lot of steelhead on this pattern. I've done well with it. The egg patterns for steelhead work great, and when you add the stonefly into it, it's just a 2-for-1 deal for the fish, and they love it. Cool thing about it, it's just my hotspot stone tied with an egg on the back of it. So tie them up for steelhead when steelhead season's over. Cut the egg off and use it as a trout fly. It works just as well. I use this a lot as my anchor fly on my nymph leader, and you know, springtime especially. As it gets into summer, I go smaller, but this is a great, especially in that size 12, perfect range for me is what I like to fish. Have fun tying it, guys. Change the colors up and experiment. Take this brown D-rib that I tied it in here. Use yellow thread under it, or orange or brown thread like I used here. You're going to come up with 3 different shades of the same fly just by changing the color underneath the D-rib. It's really cool to experiment that way. So have fun tying. That's what it's all about. If you need any of the materials, like always, guys, I have them listed down below in the material list with links to our website. And of course, you can search it on our website too at holsingersflyshop.com. I have these flies in the box too on our website. If you don't have time to tie them here before season and just want to pick up a couple of them to try, just look it up on the shop there and you can order them from the shop. So thanks for watching, guys. Until next week when I bring you another video, I'm Sean Holsinger.